Have you ever wanted to get inside the inner workings of high-profile criminal cases? True Crime and Human Design explores thrilling stories that reevaluate themes through an energetic lens. What new details and pockets of understanding might we see when we apply a human design filter to some of life's darkest corners? I'm your host, Corinna Rujo, and this is True Crime and Human Design. Hi, loves. So I have been receiving a lot of different insight, a lot of different input, and just expanding this space to meet the needs of everyone and to help this platform be more supportive, allow you to understand the language, the content, the context that really encompasses true crime and human design. So, what is human design? Human design was channeled by Ra Uru Hu, and it's a system that combines traditional and modern science, combining the traditional sciences of Western and Eastern astrology, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, the Zohar or Kabbalah, I Ching, the Book of Changes, with modernized genetic coding. Human design offers unique and profound insight on how your energy can be best utilized to navigate the material world. Ra Uru Hu defined the science of neutrinos as the foundation of human design. Through neutrinos, which are universal particles of mass, Ra Uru Hu designed the system to cultivate a greater understanding on how energy passes through our bodies and influences interactions. Neutrinos exchange information with everything they pass through, including us. So at birth, we are imprinted with neutrino information, leaving a genetic thumbprint. Our soul is believed to enter our physical body exactly 3 months before we are born. By taking the exact date, time, and place of birth and combining that with the time, date, and place of birth 3 months prior, our human design chart is created. The I Ching is one of the tools that has been synthesized with human design and the body graph, and I want to specifically just mention what this is. Of course, there are so many deeper layers to it. What is the I Ching? The I Ching can be translated or known as the Book of Changes. Ultimately, it's a divination text. For anyone that wants to watch the recording, I'll pull up a mandala shortly for you to see the hexagrams. So the I Ching consists of the 64 hexagrams. Both the gene keys and human design uses those 64 hexagrams. And we refer to those 64 hexagrams more or less as gates. Or if you're looking at it through the gene keys, these are the 64 gene keys. A hexagram is a binary symbol made up of 6 lines, either broken or unbroken. So a broken line cut in half is a yin line, it's receptive. Unbroken line is a yang line, it's creative. There are 64 different possible combinations of yin and yang distributed across the 6 lines. This same binary code can be found in the core genetic structure of our DNA and the underlying patterns of the universe itself. The I Ching is telling the elemental story of returning to unity. It's not a system to be understood solely within the mind, but lived fully through the human experience. This is why in the gene keys, contemplation is very much encouraged, because it's not meant to just be known. It's meant to be integrated. It's meant to be embedded, and it's meant for us to embody these higher principles or higher frequencies. So diving into some of the vocabulary that I'll refer to. I pulled up my chart so that I can scroll over what I'm referring to. This is on Genetic Matrix. Genetic Matrix is great. I have a few other ones I access. I just like to have a bunch of different options, and whatever I'm feeling aligned with that day or in that moment, I'll pull up. But I do pull up Genetic Matrix, especially more frequently. That said, here's the body graph. Over here, you have a summary of basic information or your information. Specifically, you'll see the type. Mine, I'm an emotional manifesting generator. For other things, you'll see authority, and say for type, it'll say just manifesting generator. Here, it's combining manifesting generator and the authority together. So you'll see down here, authority, solar plexus, which is the emotions. That means I'm an emotional manifesting generator. So my profile, I'm a 6-2 role model hermit. That's like basic human design. The 6 is known as the role model, and the 2 is called the hermit. I have different names for them, but whatever. Our definitions, these are our defined centers, and our definition ultimately creates our energy type, and it feeds into ultimately the way that we impact the world. It's the energetic themes, energetic roles that we consistently bring with us. When it refers to definition over on the side, we're looking at what a type of definition. And what I mean by this is here it says split. I'm a small split. And you're like, what does that mean? Ultimately, you'll see here with my sacral, I shoot up through the 214. This is a channel. Think of it as like electricity, a circuit board. I connect the 214. I shoot up into the identity center, and I have another channel going right up to my throat. But in order to get to the emotions, I have a small glitch. So I'm missing that defining piece. I'm missing that gate. I can't get to the root to connect and have just a singular circuitry, singular connection without having another gap. So what actually happens is now I have this and it's split. It's a small split because it's right there. It's not a whole channel. It's one gate that's keeping us apart, keeping me apart, keeping this definition from just flowing as one circuit. So ultimately, I have the root center and the emotional center connected. And then I have almost like a separate circuitry over here with the sacral, the identity, and the throat center. So what can happen with a split is ultimately I subconsciously am really looking for someone to fill this in. It may take a little bit more for me to process than a single split. A single split can process pretty quickly and come to a decision on their own. That's generically speaking, where a small split, I'm looking for this void almost to be filled. So for someone else who maybe has these gates, these energies to help me come to a decision so that when I process, I'm able to come ultimately with that solution. You'll see it lists here what gates would fill in that split. Oh, I also have the split, whoop, the 35. Whoa, yeah. So this is really important for me to know too, because I might be drawn to people that have these gates defined. So have the 35, have the 6, have the 3, have the 42. And what can happen is I feel like a piece of me is not good enough. I feel like a piece of me is missing, or I can't figure this out and it's all on me and shame, blame, and game. I need to process it. And so I'm almost invite in this energy because I'm trying to find it. I'm reaching towards it. Now, the shadow state of the 6 is a conflict. I believe it's conflict. So what this is saying is that I might be drawn to conflict or pulling conflict into my life in order to more or less make me feel whole. And for the 35, the shadow state is hunger. And this looks like boredom or mania in the repressive and reactive nature. So I might be pulling in or attracting or running to a shadow state of this 35. I might be pulling in people who are experiencing this lower level of awareness that is the shadow state of hunger. You're hungry to just experience something. You need to have an experience. And again, this is showing up in as either boredom or mania in the repressive and reactive nature. These are very intense energies that I'm like pulling in or potentially running towards. So it's really good to know your bridge gates, or if you have a wide split or a triple definition, it's really good to know these different areas that you may be looking to more or less complete you. When it comes to decision making, I'm an emotional authority. So technically, my emotional authority channel is the 3955. When I am making a decision, ultimately, I have two different energies going on here. I have the emotional authority and connected to the root, which would make me emotional projector, but then I have a sacral energy coming up through here. So I have to be really conscious that I'm actually honoring my emotional authority, because the sacral tends to make things and really thrives, for the most part, on making decisions in the moment, on listening to your gut in the moment. What is that gut telling you? And the sacral's really strong. It's extremely visceral. At least for me, as I've been really diving into my process, I've noticed how significant this sacral truly is moment by moment and day by day. So this can really blind me with my emotional authority. So I need to ride my emotional wave and then come to a clear spot while also honoring my sacral too. So even if maybe I came to clarity of a decision and I decided, yes, I want to do it, maybe I could check back in with myself and be like, what did my sacral say in that moment? Does this align? Does this fit with my sacral though? Because if my sacral was viscerally no, but I've run through my emotional authority and I'm clear and it's saying yes, why was it saying no? This is just a level of awareness that I would tap into. All in all, you'll see my strategy is respond with emotional clarity. I like to put your strategy for a manifesting generator. Everyone's will be different, or different charts will say different things. I say wait to respond and to inform, because we do have that manifestor hybrid. We do have that defined throat. We do move really quick as manifesting generators. If I'm not telling people, especially in my immediate environment, what I'm doing, I could meet resistance simply because they want to know what I'm doing. They need clarity, because out of nowhere, I just started up. So wait to respond is still included. We're not meant to necessarily initiate. Responding means I see something in my external world, or I experience something in my external world, and I'm lit up. I'm like, yes, I wanna do the thing. So this could be a text message from a friend. It could be the way, like, I have my little crystals in the window hanging and they're making rainbow prisms in my office. I could see those rainbow prisms and all of a sudden get lit up and come up with an idea of something that I want to do. I'm simply responding to what activates this excitement within me. I'm not just chasing, and I'm also not putting myself back, tucking myself away. That is what your strategy is. So whatever your strategy is, how you make decisions, you'll have like your non-self theme and your signature. That's satisfaction and frustration. And it does say anger here. For manifesting generators, because we're the hybrid, I would say that your signature, so your signature is ultimately how you're on track, how you're aligned. It's the fulfillment. With the hybrid manifestors feel peace as their signature. So I do include peace and satisfaction. Satisfaction is related to the generator. So the frustration is the not self theme when I'm frustrated. And the anger is the manifestor's not self theme. And again, because it's a hybrid, here's that anger. So a not self theme isn't something to be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, I'm angry. I shouldn't be angry. I'm frustrated. And now I'm mad at myself to be frustrated. Eden Carpenter refers to your not self theme as your emotional guardian. And I love that. Ultimately, it's showing up and it's saying something in your world, something in your orbit, something in your universe is just not aligned with you. And what is that? Why are you frustrated? Why are you angry? What are these feelings attached to? And when you reflect on that, what needs to change in order to reach your signature theme? What action steps do you need to take? What are you holding on to? Especially with that anger. I find a lot of manifestors really struggle with this anger because anger is an emotion that has been stigmatized. It's really actually an umbrella emotion. We're not supposed to react off of anger. Think about it. She's so angry. And everyone has this visceral, people look to more or less shut down their anger rather than learn why it's coming up. And I think that's really important for manifestors, especially, and manifesting generators, because what I've found is that we spend a lot more time being upset with our anger rather than focusing on the steps we need to take to not reach that level of anger, to live in alignment, and also the steps we need to take to destigmatize, to de-shame ourselves from experiencing anger. You're not a monster for experiencing anger. That's a side note. I could go on. So over here, these get into the deeper layers. This is your design. Here's the variables. So it's these arrows. You have 4 variables. And again, this is a deeper part of the chart, which I do love exploring. I'm currently taking Vanessa Henry's in-depth integrated variable training because she's just amazing the way she explains things and her insight and her work, what it's geared to. It's just a higher level of knowing and a higher level of detail. I really vibe with it. So 10 out of 10 do recommend, because the variables don't have a lot of information on them out there. But of course, everyone's like, all right, I see all these things. What are the arrows? What's that all mean? Again, these are very nuanced layers of the chart, which can be gotten into, but I'm just going to let you know that there are variables. This is our design side. These are our design variables. So in here, and then your personality. So these are your personality variables. Down here, you'll see channels. Not every chart lists your channels. So how can you find them? Your channels are these connected gates. So you'll see here that I have what they call a hanging gate, hanging 49. It's left completely empty. I don't have gate 19. None of the planets in transit were in gate 19. That means 49 is a hanging gate where the channel connects fully to the other side and creates that definition. So for my channels, if you don't have a chart or if you access something that doesn't give you the channels, you can find your channels by looking for the gates that connect to create a full circuit, a full channel. So the 39 to 55, it connects me from my root center to my emotional center. The 214 connects my sacral to my identity, and the 18 connects my identity to my throat. And ultimately, your channels, again, going back to that definition, Your channels are just your innate gifts. So it's this constant energy that you're bringing in. Channels are part of circuitry. What I think is really important is seeing where, say you have the 1-8. So I have the 1-8. I like to go over to the planets and say, where is the 8 in my chart? Well, the 8 is my conscious, which means it's going to have a really significant role in my life. Generally speaking, the conscious sun is known as 70% of your personality. Honestly, there are so many nuances, so many layers to human design. And I think that's just a little too vague, but great way to put it at the same time. And I'm just not going to go into all of it for this because I don't want to get you lost. But ultimately, if I were looking at it through the gene keys, I would say that this is your life's work. Your life's work is met with a challenge right away. And the challenge is your evolution, which is your conscious earth. What does that mean? The sun, ultimately, it's bright, it's out there, where the conscious earth is like what's meant to ground you, what's meant to support you, what's meant to support your expression in the sun way. So my 8 really needs my 14 to really exist in the gift state, to be really stabilized, to show up in the ways that are supportive in order for me to be able to shine my light out into the world. So I also think that's fun is you look at your channels, you look at your gates. I like to access the gene keys, and the gene keys ultimately consists of the 64 hexagrams, which you can know as the 64 gates, the 64 gene keys. And I like to, for me, it never resonated with the gates. Like the way it was explained to me more or less was a hanging gate is almost like an idle energy that really isn't sparked or sparked as much as your channels until you connect to another person that completes that channel. And that just didn't feel right because I was like, but wait a minute, we have them connected to all of the planets. And if you look into astrology, each planet plays a significant role in our energy. It has a significant influence into our energy. So I was like, you're telling me that it's not activated as much, but yet astrology really obviously dives into the planets and we look at the significance of them. It just didn't vibe. This is just personal choice, personal perspective. What did vibe with me was the gene keys. And the gene keys ultimately, as mentioned, the I Ching, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, the 64 gates, it breaks it down that much deeper. It breaks the gates down much deeper by the shadow, the gift, and the city, the highest essence. You'll have different holographic profiles in the gene keys. There's the Venus sequence, there's the activation sequence, there's the Pearl sequence, there's many more. You dive into ultimately the planetary aspect and the gate. So if it was conscious Mercury I was diving into, dive into the meaning, the role that plays in the Venus sequence, and the role that in turn plays in my life. And the 27 is really the energetic archetype coming in addition with another role of that line. Super fun. But all that said, okay, so you'll see your profile and you're probably like, how do I get to my profile? How do people know your profile? You go to your conscious sun and unconscious sun, and you'll notice too, your conscious earth and unconscious earth. You look here, you'll see 6-2. If I was a 1-3, it would be 8.1, 55.3. If I was a 4-1, it would be an 8.4, 55.1. So that is our profile. You'll see here, it shows, and you're probably looking at this and you're like, oh, okay. We have different quarters. This is, again, a very deeper layer. We have different quarters and quarter themes that each gate falls into. And then you'll see all of the astrological signs. So this is where astrology does come in, and ultimately this is where the hexagrams are. So that's what a hexagram will look like. And what hexagram? That's 14. The I Ching will have an original name for it. The gate will have a name for it. And the gene key will have its own name for it or similar name to it, but really expand on that. And then you'll see, so my conscious earth was in gene key or gate 14. It was hexagram 14, and that's a Scorpio gate. So just a fun little aspect. When I talk about the centers, so these are your centers. Similar to the chakras, but there's 9 instead of 7. This happened in the late 1700s, ultimately because our consciousness has expanded. What else can I say? I think that's good for like a basic runaround. Talk soon. Interested in working together and don't know where to start? I have an array of opportunities and offers to really show up and support you, hopefully in a way that's beneficial. We all have our needs, we all have our wants, and they all look completely different. So it is my goal and my intention to create offers and show up in ways that can be the most beneficial for you. With that being said, I do have quite a few different human design offerings right now. For either virtual or in-person, you can receive a one-to-one intuitive soul revelation. This is a human design reading where I use your divine design to open a portal to channel the ways in which power dynamics have fed off your beautifully diverse energy and stripped you of your autonomy. I also offer empowered caregiving, which really synthesizes my professional, personal experiences with human design. Empowered caregiving utilizes a trauma-focused lens that empowers children to live their truth and also empowers caregivers through cultivating a greater awareness around how your child's energy integrates with the world around them, filled with tips, tricks, and tools that I've been using for as long as I can remember, literally. I also offer human design relationship readings. These are personal readings for yourself and your significant other. If your significant other isn't into this, they don't have to be present because relationships don't have to be challenging. I cringe when I hear that. So through relationship readings, we release resentment and increase compassion as we explore misconceptions, misinterpretations, and miscommunications. I also have a couple personalized digital reports, which are available the moment you purchase them on my website. I have Decoding the Map of Your Soul, which is fresh, rebranded, re-edited, the whole 9 yards. This is an extensive personalized PDF that introduces and explores essential foundational piece of your divine human design delivered within moments. It's approximately 45 pages that's been channeled and accumulated over the past 2 years. Another option is Nourishing Your Health. Unlike the dieting world and the strategic, structured mindset beliefs, this breakdown supports and embraces your nuances, your complexity, and your diverse needs. This is a more generalized report to tap into how to keep yourself healthy. When we talk health, we're not just talking, oh, how should I hit the gym today? If you're interested in working with me, head on over to my website, fill out an application, or hit me up on Instagram. And if that's easier, we can get going from there. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, share the love with your friends, with your neighbors, with your coworkers, with your community, and head on over to my social media or my website. I'll leave the links in my bio and let's just share. This is really about connecting and sharing awareness because that's what intimacy is at its highest level of consciousness. Thank you so much, and we'll chat soon.